Exes and babies.
Exes and babies. So long time ago, I always tell people the story, but a long time ago, I gave a speech about being a single mom and like the things that I do to keep myself motivated and, just continue to work towards success. And I remember everyone got really excited during the speech when I talked about how my ex and I still get along, and that he's still in the audience right here, actually, and he's holding our son.
Right. Because here's the thing with that, not to cut you off. That's more common than people want to give it credit for. But every time somebody hears it, it's always a shock
Right.
that parents can't get along outside of a relationship. Oop, didn't mean to smack the mic, but
Yeah.
rest relationship. But yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And so people were very excited and like start clapping and standing up. I was like, oh, there's something here.
Right.
There's something here. People kept coming up to us after, just like, oh my gosh, like, cool, your speech was all good, but like, you guys get along? What? Tell me more. I wish my parents met you 40 years ago. And what I also notice is as I tell people about the podcast and about what we're trying to accomplish here with Exes and Babies, with the coaching and such, is that, it didn't matter race, age, sexual orientation, doesn't matter any of that. Everyone's impacted by this, by co-parenting. Even if you don't have divorced parents or you didn't get a divorce or get separated, you might know a cousin or a sister or a family member you might have witnessed it, or you might have had a school bully who had stuff going on at home with divorce. So everyone's impacted by co-parenting, essentially, or parallel parenting in some cases. So
I like that.
We'll cover that because
Right.
that's a whole nother thing. That is not co-parenting.
Is that on a T-shirt?
It's not. It's a legitimate term though.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I was that creative. No,
Okay.
it's like a
I will
legitimate.
just
It's when
edit that
people
in.
aren't getting like they're just existing, but they're not co-ing any of the parenting. They're just like you're gonna do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not great, but sometimes it's the best for some people, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Solid.
yeah, I'm so excited to have you here.
Great.
It's a long time coming. So tell me a little bit about I want to tell the audience about what makes you want to be here and talk about parenting.
So first, let me just express my gratitude for the fact that you wanted me to even be a part of this.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So I am a parent, of course. Been a parent for about 13, 14 years.
Okay.
And I love my daughter to death. I love being a parent because it's an honor. I look at being a parent as an honor.
Right.
And the relationship I have with my co-parent, I'm proud of the progress we've made.
Okay.
So when you introduced this idea to me, I was like, okay, I wanted to express or share my ideas and have conversations, not only to help somebody else out, but to learn myself because I don't have it all figured out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna be arrogant and think that I'm the dopest dad in the world,
What?
I mean, I'm dope, but there's some other dope dads too,
Right.
But I just wanted to do my part to help the community out because speaking as a black man in America, parenting in our community is viewed differently than other communities because our parenting is more, it's put in the front of media more than any other cultures.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I wanted to do my part and offer a perspective that could be helpful.
Wait. Go back to that because when you said it's put in the media more than others, talk to me about that.
Right. You think about let's look at media. You got music, movies, television shows, right? More of today, it's put in more of a positive light. But there's still those conversations in the background about deadbeat dads.
So you said the negative part of
Yeah.
our
Because every
culture,
time there's deadbeat dads of all races and
all
cultures.
sizes.
But what's always the face of deadbeat dads? It's always a black and brown face.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Not me. No. Not me. No. But it's that. But I can speak from my personal experience, my personal life. All the black and brown fathers are dope ass fathers, regardless if they're married or not. They're in there in their kid's life.
Right.
So that's not my reality. Deadbeat dads is not my. It's not my truth.
Right.
Even though I'm not they exist. Don't get me wrong, they exist.
They do.
Right. But that's not my truth. So
Right.
I'm only here to speak my truth.
Right.
And then you hear music. People verbalize deadbeat dads not being there, which is it's a harsh reality for a lot of people. But I just want to offer, like I said before, my truth on black fatherhood or just fatherhood in general.
Right.
It's off my.
Okay.
So I want to ask you this though. From that speech you made, and everybody was applauding you, like, "Oh my God, you should be here 40 years ago." What made you flip the switch? Like, okay, I want to do something, because there's always like a moment, like you have the idea, but then something happens where it makes you want to do something. So what happened? What made you want to
That's a
do
great
this?
point.
Like do all this that you built?
Well, truthfully, I'll be honest. I saw this opportunity to like do a Google podcast, like some kind of application or whatever, to do a Google podcast internship or something. And I remember thinking like, oh, I want to do a podcast. That sounds so interesting. And I was like, what could I even talk about for like an extended amount of time? And when I thought back to that speech and the reaction that people had around hearing that me and my ex were getting along, I was like, boom, there it is. And so I talked to my ex. I was like, yo, what if we did this together? And, it took some coaxing, took some convincing, and he did end up partaking for a few episodes, and that was a good time. But really, it started off with I just needed a topic, something juicy, something interesting. And who doesn't want to talk about like baby mama, baby daddy drama, right? And then it ended up being so much more. It ended up being so much more important. I mean, my ex would talk about riding in an Uber car, talking about the podcast, and the driver's like, please give me your information. Like, I want to learn more because I'm having these issues. Even when I went to go buy some of the equipment for this podcast that we're filming and recording today, the manager of the store kind of a little standoffish. No offense to him, but he's a little standoffish. Didn't even have a twinkle in his eye or anything. He just seemed like he was just, working. It's fine. And
emotions.
But he just seemed, I don't know, he just seemed unexcitable. I don't know. I didn't even know he was the manager. And then someone's like, oh, you got to meet the manager, right? And I meet him. I tell him what I'm working on. He's like, here's my email address. Please send it to me, because co-parenting is so challenging. I have my daughter, and I'm just so interested in this. Again, this was a white man. This wasn't even like someone who looks like me, right? So a lot of people are impacted by this, and I'm really excited about, again, bringing more voices to the forefront, because there are a lot of white people talking about parenting. There's a lot of white people talking about even co-parenting, but there's not a lot of people outside of that talking about co-parenting.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that through our podcast, we can bring, voices of trans parents or parents with trans kids, anyone in the LGBTQ plus spectrum, different nationalities and ethnicities and such, and disabilities and religions and all the greatness.
Right.
So I want to bring, not only do I want to bring those voices forward in this space that has been predominantly white, but I also want to talk about, like you said, the good that's happening. There's people who are figuring it out. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. And when you start off with anything in any project, when I went into organic chemistry in college, everyone talked about how hard it is.
I was going to ask you about that, like your background.
Okay.
But we could go into that a little bit later. Go ahead.
When I was studying for organic chemistry, but before I got in there, everyone's like,
smart.
it's so hard. I am.
You're so smart.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. They'll come through.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was getting ready to go into organic chemistry, and everyone's like, that's the weeder class. It's going to weed people out for medicine. It's very hard. And I was like, I'm just going to choose not to think of it that way. I'm going to choose. I'm going to honor that it is hard, but I don't need think of it so negatively. And that's how I want people to think about co-parenting. I want people to come into like, yo, I'm about to unfortunately get a divorce, or fortunately, whatever it is for you. But this co-parenting thing might not be the worst thing in my life. It might be something rewarding.
Right.
And so that's what I'm hoping we can do with Exes and Babies, through coaching, through resources, you name it. Just shift the mindset on it, because I think that will then change results and behaviors.
Facts. So, since we're going to, have the eyes and ears of people,
yes,
I think it's appropriate, like I was mentioning earlier, if we tell them our background a little bit. Like,
Absolutely.
Who are we?
Yeah, kick us off. Who's Jeffrey?
So, my name is Jeffrey Lee Cheatham II.
Second.
That's right. Not
Don't
Junior.
forget it. Not Junior.
The second.
Born
and raised in Seattle, Washington. As I said, I've been a parent since 2008.
Got me beat.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I was, started the game. I'm an artist. I consider myself an artist, and my art medium is storytelling. Started off writing children's books, pretty much all my life, but I really is making it into a profession 2012, writing children's books with the same idea of creating conversations for families to have about how to, better understand one another. Um, so writing children's books. I'm a playwright. I write theater, actor, all those things. But my community is families. Like I interact with families a lot. I interact with parents, single parents, married parents. I don't know if that's the thing. Married parents who who are interested in telling stories. So when you approach me with this idea, it falls within my house, my wheelhouse of what I'm trying to do, which is create a better neighborhood. And the only way you can create a better neighborhood, a better community, is if the families is on point.
Right.
And these are the conversations that we need to have, because having a conversation between a mom and a dad could be difficult. So let us be the conduit of those tough conversations. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
So that's who I am. So
okay,
Sydney,
cool.
who is you?
I'm a proud mother. I am a uplifter. I'm a glass half full kind of person, which is why I can think about co-parenting positively. I'm someone who likes to think the impossible is possible, which is why I'm here again. Excellent. Okay. Tying that back in. I love to see how I can challenge concepts and just do different things and have fun, because we're here to live. We're here to. Right. I'm here. I'm living life. And stop it. You want to interrupt me? I can feel it.
I do, because I'm like, dude, what's your career?
I don't like that question.
Why not?
Because it's like too vague.
It's not. No, it's not. I'd ask you you asked me who am I? I gave you.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah. Right, paraphrase it's like I said, I'm a children's book author. I'm born and raised in here.
No, I don't love it.
Why?
We'll come back to this. Anyways,
come on, man. These people need to know. Edify
I'm
yourself.
more interested in okay, all right, we'll just do it, but I'm gonna ask the question I'm more interested in. Okay. I work in tech. I'm a mother. I work on accessibility in tech, which has been really rewarding actually. Being able to leverage big money to help people who have different abilities, and so that's been really rewarding. Also, just launching this business, X's and Babies, has been taking up a lot of my awesome time. I love it. It does. Starting anything takes a lot of time. It's been very rewarding. But just trying to figure out how I can support that community that I happen to be in, right? And then, I do a lot of things. I have my hands in a lot of things. I'm on a board of a girls' school. You name it, I'm doing. I was coaching Dior's soccer team. Dior's my son. And I always have my hands in something. I'm trying to get better at saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
No.
We're working on it.
You're kind of. Yeah,
I'm just someone who's if there's something anything I do has to be doing good for others. So.
Now I will admit you do have a kind heart.
Thank you.
You do have a kind heart.
Was that hard to admit?
It was.
Okay.
Like the back of my neck scrunched up just now as I said it. So.
Do necks do that? Okay.
Yeah, it still does that.
Okay.
I know necks still do that. No, you have a kind heart. The reason why I pressed you to do that, because my personal opinion, I want our community to know that we are no different from them. You know what I'm saying? You work in tech. I'm an artist. We're supposed to be oil and vinegar, right? But yet here we are with the same common mission.
Right.
So.
Right.
So, and also it's phenomenal too that people see that, not only are you doing this, you're in tech, accessibility, you're coaching your son's soccer team, you're, doing all this, you're a Renaissance woman, you know what I'm saying? So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Please don't
Someone
make my
write that down.
No.
Ooh, yes. I'm gonna add that to the signature, signature, Renaissance woman.
Anyway.
I heard someone else received that compliment last week. I was like, oh, that's great.
Someone be Renaissance woman.
That sounds cool. I don't even know what that takes to be, but okay. Cool.
Right.
Done.
Yeah. So just accept that, and also it helps out, because we want to connect. We both genuinely want to help people out.
Absolutely.
So
and they'll
know,
feel that come through.
Especially nowadays in Seattle, there's a lot of, from personal experience, a lot of moms that operate similar to you, where they're just
go.
Yeah, they have to do it. So the fact that it'd be good to see, I believe it's good to see that you're doing this, so it shows that I'm not alone in the fight.
Oh my God, and it can feel like a fight at times. So let me ask you this, Jeffrey.
Yes.
What's your co-parenting experience from beginning to now? What has been your experience? What are some things you've learned? some places where you were trash. Come on.
Yeah. No, so my
And
experience.
are no longer trash.
Yeah. So no, it's been like when I had my daughter, I was 22. So
Okay.
fresh out of college.
Basically, a baby.
I was a
I
baby.
thought you was 21. You was 22?
I was 22.
Okay. All right.
22. I was 22 and I'm fresh out of college. So my whole life was football. So you're talking about going from football to father, and I didn't have that grieving.
Both starts with the F. I
Right,
don't
both,
know.
yeah, the transition was like difficult, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and the one mistake I made that I'm getting better at is realizing that my daughter's mom is not my enemy. You know, because I fell for
Someone's
that.
gonna heal from this. Go ahead.
No, because
Keep going.
in my I speak from my personal experience. I listen to a lot of bad advice.
Like what? Do you
Like
remember anything?
yeah. Like one example was, bad advice was, leave her alone for a couple of months so that way she could appreciate your presence. That was the stupidest shit that I heard. But that's the kind of advice I got, right?
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't listen to that because that didn't cause it didn't sit well in my spirit. Like, why would I leave my kid alone to prove like a point? I keep
Right.
smacking this. I'm sorry. So stuff like that, and also finding my own way. Because when you're afraid, right? And this is anything. When you're afraid, you tend to look for people who you think are experts.
Absolutely.
Right, but you realize they're not experts in shit.
God, no.
But they just sound very, very confident.
Yeah, that's
you
all
know?
you gotta do, really, in this
Right,
world.
like, oh, for real? Okay, that makes sense, right? Because you look at their lifestyle. Because one of my
Did they have the results you wanted?
no,
Okay.
until I looked at it, they didn't have the results I wanted because them and their baby's mom just battling it out.
Okay.
I didn't want that. Like, I was like,
that's fair.
yeah,
I don't want that for you.
I don't want that. I don't want that. I kind of want. I like getting along. I like
Right.
you know.
It's fun.
So
Nice.
that was one of the things, and a lot of that had to do was like, okay, I need to change who I was, right, and not be angry because anger is generational trauma that I don't think is discussed a lot with parenting. Because if you grow up in an angry household, you thinking that's how you're supposed to parent, being angry and blaming. Like if I don't get along with you, so now I'm gonna take it out on my kid because you ain't shit. So now that I can't do what I can with you, I'm gonna project that onto my child. So I took on the role of being a generational breaker.
Okay.
You know, and that's why with me and
That's
my
what it
daughter,
takes.
I'm happy to say that me and my daughter, like, that's my buddy. Like, love her to pieces. Like, that's my road dog, you know?
We can all see that too.
Yeah,
Like
you
it
know.
comes through heavy on the social
Right,
media.
but it wasn't like that at first. Like, I was trying to be a dictator.
Oh, I hate that for you.
Right.
Because she's strong, so I don't know
Right,
if that worked
right.
for her.
No, it didn't. I didn't like the results I was getting from
What
that.
were you getting from that?
She was being afraid of me
Oh.
and not opening up, and it
Yeah.
tore me up because I'm an artist, so I'm sensitive
And
as hell.
you're so sensitive.
I'm hella
So
sensitive,
fucking
bro. And I was like, it's like, how can I go from being a dictator to then ask her how she was doing that day, and then she's closed off.
Right.
I keep smacking this mic. I'm sorry.
Don't
So-
draw attention to it.
Okay. And so I was like, okay, I don't like the results, and also open and honesty is one of my daughter and I's foundation in our relationship. So I asked her one day, I was like, dude, how you feel being around me? And then she told me one day that she was getting kind of scared of being around me because like I was.
That's what people feel like that. I saw that. I feel like I saw that in my ex too, like where he felt like he got to deepen his voice.
Hey.
And he got to.
hey, sit down.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
Hey, yeah,
Hey.
yeah, God damn it.
Yeah,
Shit.
and so I haven't decided about the cursing on the podcast, but you'll figure it out.
Oh, my bad. I said like three
you
already.
good, you good. In a row. I was
sorry.
impressed. It was
My
really
bad.
impressive, actually. But anyways,
It's apple juice. Go ahead. Go ahead.
whew, anyways, but yeah, that like, what does it mean to be a parent, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Just taking a little sidebar, like, what does it mean to be a parent? You have to when you're about to before you become a parent, figure out what kind of parent you want to be and why. And then also when it comes to co-parenting, what kind of parent do you want to be and why? Co-parent partner, do you want to be and why? And yeah, I think I've seen it where someone's like, I gotta be a dad. I gotta have
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
they're gonna listen to me.
Ain't no fun. Ain't no fun going on around here. It's discipline.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, I tried that, but I'm too much of an artist and a goofball. It didn't last that long.
He was laughing in the middle of your sentence.
Yeah. I remember one time I tried to yell at her and I busted out, started laughing. Because I was like, I can't take myself seriously. It was like, she kept leaving her shoes in the middle of like the hallway. And I was just like, hey, quit leaving your goddamn. Dude, just pick up your shoes up, man. Like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I had a moment. I was like, okay, I can't be that dad, dude. Right. So I was just like, so that's what transitioned for me because us growing up in like the black community, it's all because I said so, right? It's never
because I said
because
so.
I said so. Like, do
sometimes there is a place for some because sometimes I said so. It's for safety,
right?
Like duck,
right?
Or like hurry up,
or don't walk in the middle of the street when cars are going.
Because I said that's because I said so, and then we'll explain later.
Right. But
go ahead.
Shoes in the hallway.
Right. No.
Okay, this is why you don't leave your shoes in the hallway because if I trip over these shoes and I hurt myself, I won't be able to go to work and I can't pay bills.
Wow, was that elite? No. Okay.
No, that's literally why. That's
also because you don't like it. That's good enough.
Also, it's messy looking. Yeah, a bunch of Vans shoes just sitting.
Vans, y'all got a lot of Vans. Huh?
No, she's a Vans fan.
Okay.
Is that a thing? Vans fan?
It rhymes. So
okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
Like
Cut that out. We'll trademark that later. Vans fan. So yeah, and a lot of that had to do with personal development and spiritual growth.
Okay.
And realized that I didn't want my child to be afraid of me.
Right.
Because it's my daughter. Like I'm supposed to be her knight in shining armor.
I didn't know those.
That's why
I don't got one of those. So.
Oh, okay. I could be one for you. High five.
Oh.
High five. No high five. No.
That's weird.
No. Okay.
No.
All right.
You need 20 more years on you.
No worries. Okay. I could be. Never mind.
You could be a nice male influence.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
I like that.
cool.
That's good. Put that on the shirt.
Okay.
But no.
I'm a nice male influence.
Nice male influence. That's a good t-shirt.
Oh my god.
Okay. No, and I was thinking like that one day. I was like, okay, if my daughter's ever in trouble, at the rate and the path I'm going, she's not going to tell me she's in trouble.
That's my worst
and it's
nightmare.
Gonna break my heart. And I was like, okay, let's go ahead and switch this dynamic. Right. So I just started working on myself, realized where my anger was coming from, and realized it had nothing to do with my daughter.
Right.
It was all because of things I haven't confronted yet too from my childhood.
Right.
And I was like, oh crap, I'm passing this trauma on to her.
Hell yeah, she gonna do the same thing if you
right.
don't switch it up.
I was like, hell no, we're gonna have a good time in this life. Let's go ahead and
right.
just reverse that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Enjoy this time together.
Right, we're gonna enjoy this time. You're
gonna smile. You're
right.
gonna be happy.
You're gonna have a happy childhood, damn it.
So like, kind of talking about that anger, right? Because you mentioned that about your baby's moms, right? And so, where did that come from? How have you managed that? Like,
a lot of that came from what I seen, and like how I seen men and women in my family or my circle interact. Arguing was normal, like combat was normal. Like you pump, normal. Growing up every day. It was normal.
Okay.
So when I got to that point in that situation, I was like, okay, that's how you're supposed to do it. Like, but then, like I said, you got to grow. Like, you got to go get some therapy. You got to go
therapy.
You got to
go
work out.
Therapy.
Okay. And realize that's not cool, especially if you know what kind of life you want to live. Right. So I knew what kind of life I want to live. Like, I want my daughter until she's 60 to always think of me as daddy. You know what I mean? Like that's my daddy. Like I'm gonna hang out with my daddy. I'm gonna hang out with my father.
Right.
Like we ain't gonna have the relationship if she hates me now because I'm like a jerk face. It's like no, I didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like I want her when she gets to be an adult to look at me as like a safe haven, even when she's a full-fledged adult. So, and a lot of that starts now. What I invest in her now. So.
And then tying that back to baby moms, do you think the way you interact with her mother impacts how she's going to see you as a safe haven?
Absolutely. Because that's moms,
Right.
That's, Mother Nature and all that stuff. So if I'm destroying Mother Nature, what's that going to... I could tell all kinds of stuff, right? Like, oh, I'm a good guy. Your father is nice. But then when she sees with her mom, you mother...
Right. If it don't match up.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, kids are smarter than we give them credit for, especially with their, observation skills.
Right.
I can say all that stuff I want, but then if I'm yelling at her mom or like spitting at her mom, talk trash, or not like metaphorically.
Okay.
Yeah, metaphorical spitting, but right, but that's not a good message. I mean, I do talk, as you well know, I do talk trash.
You do.
Yeah, but I do it in good nature.
We're gonna work on that.
So, and my daughter knows I talk trash about mom, but I think I'm safe. I feel comfortable saying her, like, my daughter knows that I respect her mom, and I have affinity for her mom. Like I'm there for her mom.
Okay, wait. Let's just go back. You said you talk trash. What with the mom? What do you mean? I just
I'm
want to
talking
make
about
sure
like
there's no confusion for the audience.
oh the audience. Okay, I meant like trash talking like you. Like I was talking about your never mind. Good nature. So pretty much, I like I grew up
We're
in the
gonna
central.
drink real apple juice.
Yeah,
before
I
we
need some
start this
apple juice.
episode.
Yeah, I need some apple juice from Mott's.
Real apple juice.
Yeah, Mott's apple juice. That's the company, Mott's. Mott's.
They ain't paying for.
Oh,
the
my bad. I
sponsorship.
forgot. So let's blur that out. But we need some.
They didn't pay for that sponsorship. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Advertisement. Okay. Wait.
Brought to you
Give me
by-
an example of like literally what you say to your baby moms about that's trash related.
Literal.
Yes, give me an example. I don't want any because someone could sound to me. I'm like that sounds horrible. So I don't think that's what you mean. So I want
No, I was like it's good, like I said, good nature trash talking.
What is
like
that?
okay, I'll
I
tell
know
my daughter.
everyone knows what that
Like
is.
okay, her mom, my daughter's mom is 5'2".
Okay.
So I'd say that her mom is pocket size.
Okay. So you like to do like little playful
Yeah,
banter,
jovial, yeah,
like
yeah.
jovial, like little
Right, and the
digs.
thing, like playful digs. But the thing about it is, I will say it in front of my daughter in good nature, but I also say it in front of her mom too,
Right.
just to show that I'm consistent and it's not in malice.
Right.
Because I mean, her mom is short. Her mom is 5'2" and I'm
You're just
6'2".
speaking facts at this point.
Yeah, she's pocket size. So
That's
yeah,
nice. That's a nice way
yeah,
of saying it.
yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Cool. Okay. All right.
Trash talk.
What's up? Yeah, and I can't wait to learn. We're gonna dive more into your story too. I'm really excited to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this, because the first season you had, your Dior's father as the host.
Baby daddy.
Okay,
My baby daddy.
you can say that. Okay.
Why? Okay, we're gonna talk. That is an episode in itself. Why do you? Because this is the second time that I feel like you've had resistance towards the idea of baby daddy. You don't have to answer that now,
All right.
but like we're gonna dive into that.
Okay, we're diving into that.
What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna ask. So how? I said like that. How? So the conversation you had with him, letting him know that you were moving forward with the show without him. How did that go?
It wasn't a conversation. I do what I do.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean he knows that the mission's important. In fact, as he decided to not partake in the other one, it really his words were like, "Hey, I'm just not really ready to do this right now," and but I feel free to use whatever we have already. So photos. I mean, like he wants to be a part of the mission. Like he sees this as important. He knows how critical these conversations are. So he's very supportive, which is really great. And so it really was no need for like more deliberation beyond that. Like the support's there.
Okay, that's good. And I think that's one of the things that I believe you and I want the audience to know is how important communication is.
Right. And trying to get to a place of agreement, or at
Agreement.
least understanding.
Right. Regardless of how tough the conversation will be.
Right.
Because co-parenting is, because the co-parenting is about the well-being of the child or the children.
Right.
Right. So tough conversation.
Well, let me challenge you on that.
Okay, go ahead.
'Cause we've talked about this before, but like, I think co-parenting, it might be because I'm selfish. I think it's putting the child first. Like I define good co-parenting as putting the child first.
Okay.
I define great co-parenting as putting the child first and putting y'all first, in the sense of like putting the dynamic first, the dynamic between the co-parents, because my son obviously needs to be good. He needs to be great, right? He needs to have everything he needs. He needs to have us communicating so that he's getting his needs and wants met, right? And I want to be comfortable. His father should be comfortable.
But I'm not laughing at you, but yeah, that makes
His
sense.
father's going like, why is it just put the kids first? Like, why can't I be happy too, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
like, let's put the kids first. And I think great co-parenting is like, how can we have peace of mind between us? Because if I'm stressed about the co-parenting relationship, that's going to impact the child, regardless of how resilient I'm going to try to be to separate them from that. The kids, like you said, they can understand and observe a lot of things. And that's going to, if I'm not good, it's going to impact who I am in every way, right?
Facts.
And how I'm interacting with every aspect of my life. And so I think it's so important to like actually give a F, if you will, give a couple issues, if you will. Try not to curse.
F and issues, yeah. F and
It's
issues,
a little
yeah.
late. It's a little late, but I'm trying not to.
Right.
Anyways, but give some intentionality towards the other parent. Like if I make sure that my ex is good, maybe I'll do something nice and like take my son for an extra day because he's trying to go to a conference and like he's trying to better himself, right? Because that means if he's going to better himself, he's going to network, he's going to do the things to advance his income, to advance his growth in every way, then that means my son's gonna have a better life. I'm also gonna have a better life. One thing I'm gonna say is I love when all my friends in my community work on themselves, because when we come back together, we all get to learn something new.
Facts.
Like, you worked on that, dope. Let me learn from that, because I worked on this. Okay, great. You can learn from that. So like, it's that collective growth.
Yeah, no dead weight, weight in the village.
Everybody got to grow.
Right, and that's one thing I will shout out my daughter's mom about though. She's very understanding when it comes to stuff like that, and so it's always I'll give her a shout out for that. Like, that's really dope.
Shout out, baby mom.
Yeah, no, she's dope. No, she's dope. She's dope with her pocket toy size self.
Oh my god. Okay. As far as my co-parenting experience, it's really been mostly rewarding. Again, like, people would tell us like, "Yo, you guys get along so well. Like, y'all should start a podcast." Like, other people were telling us too. Like, what are you doing? People come to me for advice on things like that. And so, not to say we're perfect. I'm literally not trying to say that.
Okay.
We are not perfect by any means, but we have some things down. I think going to therapy when we were in a relationship helped a lot. It created some foundation around how we communicate when we're not peachy, fuzzy, like all excited about each other, right? And so we brought that into co-parenting. So I'm a huge proponent of therapy. I don't know why people poo-poo on.
One time for therapy again?
One time. Is it one? So you snapped twice last time.
Okay, one person does once, the other person snaps twice.
No, let's just both do it once.
Okay.
One time for therapy. All right, cool.
All right.
Are we corny?
Yeah, that was corny. That was
perfect.
Well,
it's perfect. Sorry, we're gonna work on that. Anyways, put comments in the chat or whatever.
Right. We're figuring it out.
You guys like that
on the job training.
Yeah. Anyway, so our co-parenting relationship, again, ups and downs, and you know everyone will hear more about our story. We have a podcast on Spotify right now. If you want to hear some of the past stories around that, but
check out the earlier episodes of Exes and Babies to get an idea of what the foundation of all this was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one final question for you. Let's put it all out there.
Right.
What are you hoping that everyone learns or takes away from what we're about to do?
So much. One thing is that you have more control than you think. Sometimes it feels very powerless to be in these situations. I think that's what makes co-parenting so hard, is those moments where you feel completely powerless because someone else, it feels like they're getting in the way of what you feel like is right or feels like what's great for your kid. And I want to put the power back into folks. I want to put the power and the control back into co-parents, to define and design what they want their relationship to be like. Like, instead of adopting, like we said, other people's perception what co-parenting should be or is, what would it look like for you to design? What do you want those interactions to be? How do you want to communicate? Is it text? Is it phone? What do you want the vibe to be? How often? Like, what is your collaboration style? Like, all the things. It feels very like corporate team, but
but it's like your parenting style though.
It is your parenting and your what's your parenting style, but what's your co-parent dynamic? And you have to be intentional about what is our dynamic as co-parents. Otherwise you're gonna just get some stuff that's gonna probably resemble what we've seen a lot in the media and around us. And so I just want people to feel a sense of control and like, hey, let's take back what we've known co-parenting to be. Let's forget about all that. So let's just leave it out the door. Let's just throw it in the trash. What we know about baby mama, baby daddy drama.
Right.
Let's design what we want. Clean slate.
Right. That's dope.
What about you?
So what I want to happen, what I want people to learn from our show, in two scenarios. One, if you're in a messed up co-parent situation, I want this show to be your reset button.
Reset. That's
reset.
Right.
Like, I want people to be like, you know what? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. And then now we're going to start over. And whatever lessons you learn, whatever information that you receive from here, I want the people to implement that into moving forward and creating a harmonious co-parenting situation with that. The second thing I want to happen, I want to learn how to be a better father. I want to be better, like whether it's emotional, mental, physical, financial, whatever, by listening to the stories and all the other stuff that I'm going to encounter while embarking on this journey with you.
Right.
So there's a selfish reason and there's a community reason
Right.
why I hope to take away from this. And also, too, I really want this to grow because before you asked, or right after you asked me to join the show, I did some research. There's nothing like this anywhere else.
Right.
Anywhere with the like dynamic that you and I are going to present. There's nothing
Right.
like this anywhere else. So we have a real opportunity here to really help some people.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really
Right.
looking
And
forward
that's
to
what
doing
I tell our guest speakers. I love what you said. I love telling our guest speakers who are coming, we're going to be recording with them soon. I'm like, thank you so much for sharing your vulnerable and personal story. These are somewhat taboo because you're really going to help somebody. I know
really
your
are.
story is going to help somebody, and they just light up. And I know that they know it too because people don't open up about this. So it's going to be really great to have some more voices and stories around this.
Right. People always talk to their echo chambers, or they talk to or they talk to the court. They don't get the opportunity to share what they feel. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And they or they don't talk to to people who come from a even perspective,
Right.
because we don't have any alternative motives besides helping people out. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're going to have some fun.
All right.
All
So
right.
let's go. Let's do it.
It's go time.
It's go time.
It's go time.
So yeah.
All right. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And please feel free, listeners, to let us know
Right.
how it's going. We want your feedback.
Right. Like, share, comment.
Yeah, what do people say? Click, like, share, subscribe.
Subscribe. They always do this. Like,
Yeah,
subscribe on the bottom.
Yeah, you know, there's a button over
Button
here.
over
There's a link
here,
over
right.
Anyways, all right.
No, like it, share it, comment on it. We would love to hear from
Give
you.
us feedback, what we could do better, what
Right.
you need to hear, what you need. What
Right.
can we go find for you to talk about?
Exactly. I was going to say that too. Even though we record twice a week, the movement is 24/7. So
Ooh, that was deep.
please feel free to share what you feel. Any ideas? We watch it, we read it, we'll implement it, we'll get rock and rolling, and let's X's and babies. We're here now.
Right. And if you got a story, come share it.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Deuce. Peace.
Peace.